PDHPE. It's been a couple of weeks since you've seen me on video. So how are you? I trust that you are all well and you're well studying and prepared for your exams. I've opened up the folders from terms 1, 2 and 3. Particularly if you're new, could you make some time to go through those folders and cover those different topics that have been included in the exam notification? The exam notification you can find in this term's important documents folder, and just go over those topics that have been assigned into this particular exam so that you are best prepared for that test. So we're continuing risk-taking and drug use in this particular lesson. So let's just read this together. So we're on page 17 now. Thank you to all of those who sent those expositions in. For those of you who didn't, I'm really disappointed. Because it does go, everything now does go towards your report. So please make sure you are participating in discussion posts and uploading tasks that are relevant to the course so that you can get the best possible report card. So during your teenage years, you'll probably be faced with decisions about drug use, which can result in different outcomes. Drug use can range from no use at all to misuse and hazardous use, with the risk of problems increasing as usage increases. So here we have a spectrum, and this spectrum is particularly important, especially with your upcoming exam. So abstinence, what does abstinence mean? It means to completely stop something, to be separated from, so that's no use. We have safe use, so taking prescribed drugs, such as legal drugs like Panadol or Nurofen, these are safe use drugs. Misuse is when we use legal drugs incorrectly or using illegal substances. So when we're taking Oxycontin, which is a completely legal drug, but some people take it to get on a high, and so they misuse the drug. Hazardous use. So what does a hazard mean? That's right. A hazard is something that's a potential risk in a negative way. So hazardous use is risk-taking leading to harmful outcomes. And then finally there's abuse. And abuse is that just constant or continual misuse of the drug. So hazardous drug use. So drug use is the use of any drug to such an extent that it becomes a physical, psychological, social, or legal problem. This may occur as a result of taking too much of a drug or over an extended period of time. Once physically dependent on the drug, a person will experience withdrawal symptoms such as insomnia, loss of appetite, and muscular pains if they do not continue usage. Once psychologically dependent, a person feels they cannot function without the drug. Drug abuse can occur when people combine one or more drugs and when they use drugs that can have dangerous side effects. So that's really important to know that this is hazardous drugs use is obviously like a particular form of drug use that will eventually lead to an addiction, and we need to be really mindful of that. So in this lesson, what I'd like you to do is, if you see in page 18 over here, there are different definitions, and this is particularly hard. So I might go, I'll go and confirm in what order. So I think there's about 18 or so different boxes, and I'll give you the answers shortly, but I want you to have a go at looking at these different definitions at the bottom here. So physical dependency. Dependency means that you rely on something. You can't really do anything without it. Impaired judgment. Excuse me. Sorry. I had to sneeze. Impaired judgment means that you're not making sound judgment. Impaired judgment means that because of alcohol or drugs, affects your judgment. You can't make a stable decision. Physical health problems, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Short-term effects, work and school problems, emotional problems, chronic long-term effects, so things that continually happen over a long period of time. Psychological dependency, so in the mind that you feel like in your head you need to depend on this particular drug. And then you have adverse reactions, so really bad reactions to a certain drug. You've got legal problems, social problems, spiritual problems, family problems, financial problems. Withdrawal is when you abstain or you stay away from a particular drug, but you end up having to deal with symptoms of withdrawal. So you feel a longing to go back to that drug. Tolerance is when you're just immune to the drug and you need the drug to create the same effect. Drug interactions and lethal overdose. Lethal means death, so lethal overdose refers to a death result. So have a go at doing that section, and once you finish that, we have a cartoon here, and so you need to examine the cartoon and identify the hazard potentials and write the dialogue for the cartoon. So Marguerite has arrived home drunk from a party and her parents are very upset. So fill in the speech bubbles about what you think their conversation might be. Okay, so making decisions about drugs. So why do you think some people take drugs while others choose to resist the risk? A person's decision can be influenced by their personal values, environment, and knowledge about drugs. It is important to consider how the drug will affect a person's health and their future life. For example, will it jeopardize the life they imagine or the person they want to be? That's an important question to ask yourself. Is that, are these seemingly temporary experiences of fun really worth jeopardizing your family relationships, your friends? I don't think so. So that last activity is an activity where we do a role play, but obviously we can't do that. So we might just skip over, and I'd like you to do this personal reflection here. So write one word of how you value each of these different classifications of drugs. So tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, heroin, Panadol, ecstasy, and caffeine. So what it says here is that the values you form throughout your life are a major influence on whether or not you decide to take the risk of taking drugs. The stronger your belief is in something, the more likely it will show in your actions. In forming these values, it's important to consider the short-term and long-term effects of each drug. Provide one word to describe how you feel about each drug listed. So tobacco, an example of a word that I feel towards tobacco is addictive. Another word could be toxic. So come up with your own words for each different classification. I'll have the instructions for the following activities that I'd like you to accomplish for this lesson. And I'm also giving you another, in our second lesson for this week, I'm giving you, I want you to have some study periods. So, I want you to have a study period where you can just take that time to just go over all the work from the past terms. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send your questions through to me. I'll be more than happy to help. And all the best with your exams, and I'll be praying for you. So don't be worried. God is with you. Just be prayerful and, obviously do your best. That's all we can really expect from you. Okay, bye for now.